Hiya, Steve here from Tales Beyond the Grave. Now, after Christmas we're going to be putting some videos up of interesting places I hope you'll like, really. I like cemeteries, graveyards, churchyards, things like that, but I also like anything of interest. So I'll be putting videos up what I think might be interesting to you and also might be interesting to me. So we're going to start here today, and we're in, just turn you around now, look at that. That is the Gothic chapel over here in Agecroft Cemetery, and we're in Agecroft Cemetery for a reason. First of all, I'm going to show you around it, and then I'm going to show you two graves you might not know are in this cemetery, and I'm going to take you to a prince, and I'm also going to take you to a 1970s wrestler. If you liked the 1970s world of sport and you enjoyed the Saturday afternoons wrestling, you're going to enjoy the grave I'm going to show you. Sadly it's a grave, but like I say, he was a hero of mine around about in the 70s and early 80s as well, and I got a chance to meet this guy as well, and he was nothing like his persona. He was a really nice guy. So I'm going to take you over. I'll show you around the churchyard. Now, Peter was the grandson of the king of Metabella, which is modern day Zimbabwe. And what happened was he was part of there was a guy called Frank Phillis, who was a modern day sort of like Barnum of his day, and he scoured the world for acts to bring over to the United Kingdom. Now, he come across this tribe over in Africa, and they were called, he brought them over as Africa, Savage Africa they were called, and Peter Lobengula I should say, was the star of the show, really. They were dressed in battle gear with the spears and the shields, and also they'd done the dances and the movements where the people of England hadn't seen anything like this before. So Frank Phillis decided to bring them over, sort of like a dance troupe show, to show people in the UK. Now, during one of the shows, a lady called Kitty Jewell, she come off a wealthy family, went to see the show, and she was immediately drawn to Peter. He was a good-looking guy, he was muscular, and he was sort of like the star of the show. And like I say, Kitty come off a very wealthy family. They were mine owners, her family, so they started to see each other, and this went against the grain of anything in the England at the time. It caused absolute uproar that a lady should be seeing this African guy from a dance group. Now, after dating for a while, they decided that they wanted to get married, and the father refused them to get married, and even the Church of St. Matthias, they refused to marry him inside the church. So what they did do, they went to see the registrar, and they got a special license at the registrar, and they were married. Peter and Kitty. Now, there's a book out about that. If ever you want to go and Google that, there's a book called Kitty and the Prince. So have a read of that, it's quite an interesting read. So they were married in 1899, but the marriage was only short-lived because Kitty's father accused Peter of stealing £5 from him from his house, and eventually they divorced. It was only a short marriage for Kitty and Peter. Now, having no sort of income, he ended up penniless again, and having no sort of like income or forms of employment, he went back to the dance troupe. He got hold of Frank Phillis again and decided to go back to the dance troupe again and form Savage Africa again, perform for Savage Africa again, which he knew. And so you might ask, why is he here? Why is he in Pendleton or Pendlebury and Salford? Well, the reason is that the dance troupe came up to Manchester, and Peter fell in love again. He must have been a bit of a ladies' man, because he He married a girl called, an Irish girl called Lily, and he went on to have six children, and he fitted into the Salford way of life quite easily. The people liked him. He used to sing and dance for him in the pubs. He also became employed as a miner down at Pendlebury Colliery, and he got into the drink culture as well with the miners. After work they go drinking after a 12-hour shift after being down the mines. Unfortunately this caused problems with Lily and the Prince, and unfortunately he was a bit violent towards her due to the drink. And alcoholism started to take over Peter, and unfortunately became ill through alcoholism, and he sadly passed away just before the start of the First World War, and he's buried just over here. I'm going to take you to the grave. Unfortunately he's in which is the pauper's grave, but there's a special grave marked for him within the pauper's graves, and I'll show you that. He also lost a couple of his children to TB, because at the time there was a TB epidemic, and it was taking the lives of many people, especially young people, young children. But I'm going to take you over now. I'm going to show you the Prince's grave, a Prince of Salford that is. So let's just go over here. We're just going to show you over here where we're going to go now. As you can see, we're on the banks of the River Irwell. That is a famous river what runs through Salford and into Manchester, the River Irwell. And we're just over here in the pauper's graves. As you can see, there's quite a few of them, and there's like 10, 15, maybe 20 people in some graves, some family and some buried with strangers. But like I say, there was at the time a TB epidemic, and people were dying, and people didn't have the money to bury them, give them proper funerals. Now you can see the cross there in the middle of the pauper graves. Now that is the monument, or the cross of a prince, and that is Prince Peter Lobengula's grave. And I say he died of TB himself at the age of 38, only 38 when he died. And this is the grave of the prince, African Prince Peter Lobengula, aged 38, and he died the 24th of November 1913. So Salford has got its own prince. And just here, one of Peter's daughters, Delina, she died at age 4 through TB as well. And there's also a couple of his 6 children here what didn't make it to adulthood. But yeah, Salford's very own African prince. And he was a character as well, and the people of Salford took to him. It didn't matter where he come from, his background or anything like that. If the people of Salford take to you, they'll take to you. And he was a bit of a character within the pubs, dancing and singing. And if you go online, there's an old footage. If you put in Pendlebury Colliery, there's an old footage of the miners coming out after a hard day's shift, and Peter's face appears, comes out joking, laughing and toy fighting with one of his friends. So that's worth googling just to see what Peter looked like. So the next grave I'm going to take you to, 1970s ITV World of Sport. Can I give you the name? Luke McMaster. The Loch Ness Monster. How about Haystacks Calhoun? And how about the giant haystacks? That's whose grave is buried here in this cemetery. His grave is just over here, and I'm going to tell you a bit about his story, how he become to live in Salford, and a bit about his life and his background. So let's go and find giant haystacks' grave, and it's just over here now. So let me tell you about the giant haystacks. 70s and 80s wrestling icon, and he worked in America under the name of the Loch Ness Monster. Now he stood 6'11" tall and weighed around 31 stone. At his heaviest, he was round about 49 stone. He was a big unit, was the Giant Haystacks. And he began his career as part of a tag team with Big Daddy before Big Daddy turned face and become the good guy, leaving Giant Haystacks to become the pantomime villain, the bad guy, which I liked. So he was born in Camberwell in 1946 and he weighed a whopping 14 pounds 6 ounces as a baby. That was his birth weight. Now that's a big baby, it's like a 3-month-old baby, that, isn't it? And when he was 3, the family all moved to Salford, Lower Broughton in Salford. That's how he become to be known round here. And he was born in Camberwell, moved to Salford when he was 3. He left school at the age of 14, where he worked as a scrapper driver building the motorways around the Manchester area. And he also worked as a nightclub bouncer, because you wouldn't have got much change out of him, would you? You know what I mean? He was a unit, so imagine him on the door. Now, before his friends had said to him, why don't you take up wrestling the size of you? You should be wrestling and in the ring and making a living, and that's exactly what he did. He began his wrestling career in 1967, initially as under the name of Luke McMaster. That was his wrestling name. And in the 70s, he was billed as Haystacks Calhoun before modifying the name to become the Giant Haystacks. And the reason he gave the name Giant Haystacks, he said Haystacks are massive, and you try moving one, you can't. Now his TV debut was in July 1975, and he was a tag team with Big Daddy, like I said. And they soon split. Big Daddy become the good guy, and Haystacks become the bad guy. But it projected him, ITV World of Sport projected him to fame and fortune, and he wrestled all over the planet, really, all over the world, in Malaysia, China, Japan, America, also in Canada. So he wrestled all over the world. And he returned to the UK. He went back to America when it dried up a bit in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. And he wrestled back in the USA under the name of the Loch Ness Monster again, creating a bit of a feud with Hulk Hogan, threatening to rip each other's heads off if they ever got each other in the ring. And he made a good living over in the USA, but it was around about this time he was diagnosed with lymphoma, and his health was deteriorating quite quick, and he decided to come back to the UK. And he was a very private man. He's called Martin Ruan, that's his real name. A very private man, devout Catholic who refused to wrestle on a Sunday. And refused to wrestle on a Sunday, turning down lots of money, really, which he could have done. And he returned back to the UK, and like I say, he was married to Rita, his wife, teenage sweethearts they were, and they been together since he was 17. They had 3 children, 3 boys, and like I say, he unfortunately died at his home in Prestwich. And I'm going to take you to his grave now, and his name, it's not under Giant Haystacks, which you think it would be, it's under the name of Martin Ruan. And we'll just take you over there now and I'll point it out to you. So I'm taking you now to the grave of the Giant Haystacks, and as I say, he's buried under his real name of Martin Ruan, and this is his grave. Martin Ruan, my dear husband, much loved father and granddad, who died 29th of November 1998, aged 52. I have fought the good fight to the end. I have run the race to the finish. I have kept the faith. And also that's his wife, his teenage sweetheart Rita, who sadly passed away in 2019. So that is the burial ground of Giant Haystacks, aka Haystacks Calhoun, the Loch Ness Monster, Luke McMasters, but known as Giant Haystacks. And thanks for the memories, Haystacks. So, I hope you've enjoyed today, this video, and like I say, I'll be putting more on after Christmas, get the channel up and running, and we'll take it from there. Probably be doing like a couple a month or something like that, but as I say, this has been Agecroft Cemetery in Salford, and we've shown you two graves, the grave of a Prince Peter Lobengula, and also a hero of mine, Giant Haystacks, Martin Ruan. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and like I say, if you do like the videos, let us know, give us a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe. You don't have to, it's entirely up to yourself, but if you want to subscribe, costs you nothing, and gives a thumbs up, whether you like the videos or not, really. If you don't, just tell us. So I'll see you, and I'll meet you on the next one. So bye for now.